Okay.
Indigenous peoples and Lakota people, one of our strengths is no matter what hardship we face, no matter what happens in our lives, we always have a sense of humor. Humor and laughter are medicine for our people. So anytime you come in the gathering of where there's Indigenous people, where there's Lakota people, and it may be a funeral, it might be something really sad, but humor is what brings us together. So I'm going to share a story called Res Dogs. Have you ever, how many of you have been to a reservation? How many of you have heard about our Res Dogs? On any Indian reservation, you'll see Res Dogs. Our Res Dogs are Ushinga. They're pitiful, pitiful dogs. And there was 3 Res Dogs sitting there on the side of the road chasing cars. If you ever go on a reservation, our dogs chase cars. They're running, barking, trying to bite the tires. And so these 3 dogs are sitting there, Res Dogs, watching, chasing cars. One had a floppy ear because it was all bit up from all the fights it had. They're all hawked in, mangy. They're sitting there scratching and watching these cars go by. And here, this real fancy car came with New York plates. And it stops. And these Res Dogs are checking it out, wondering who that is. And this dog gets off. Really nice, pretty dog. Gucci sweater on, looking around. And this dog from New York is looking at these Res Dogs, wondering, silly dogs, why are they chasing cars? Why are they, what are they doing? And so it's sitting there, and so these Res Dogs walked up to him and asked him, where are you from? He said, from New York. He said, what are you guys doing? Why do you chase cars? He said, because that's what we do here on the reservation. We chase cars. So they said, well, can you want to try it? So the New York dog said, sure, I'll try it. So they taught, okay, when this next car comes, you need to chase it. So this New York dog is standing there licking, this car comes, says, bow wow, bow wow. It's right beside it. And so these Res Dogs said, no, that's not how you do it. You do it like this. And so they're running, barking, woo, 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 barking, and trying to fight the tires and growling. And they turn around and come back and give themselves a high five. And they go back. So this Indian dog said, okay, I'm next. I'm next. So this Res Dog starts running and says, bow wow, bow wow. Hey. In our reservation, we have slang. We have slang words. It's hey. So we always, if you go to any reservation, you're always going to have and hear people with a good sense of humor. They're always laughing, always talking. In spite of many, many things that our Lakota people face today and in the past, our humor is what keeps us alive. Our culture is what keeps us alive. Our language is what keeps us alive. Remember what our ancestors have gone through in the past. Jake explained to you the many, many struggles our Lakota people had, and the Wounded Knee massacre that happened in December 29, 1890. Chief Bigfoot was coming to seek shelter in Pine Ridge among the Sioux people. So he came with women and children, and he put up his flag at Wounded Knee, a flag of truce. He put up his white flag. And there was a dead man that was there in the cavalry. They came and they surrounded him, and they start fighting over a gun, and his gun went off, and they opened fire among the people. Mostly women and children are massacred today at Wounded Knee. And so many, many of our history is the hardships that we as Lakota people face. And I look at America today, and I look at the symbols of strength. We call them strength. American government, or the White House, the BIA. We look at these as These are symbols of the strength. Then we also look at democracy. What is democracy? How many women today are still fighting for equal pay? Raise your hand. How many people here today are still fighting for their rights? We all come from a common ground. We all stand here in this circle, and we all know what it means to struggle. We know what it means when our rights have been violated. We understand and we know when we need to stand up and say, enough is enough. I am also very concerned today about the amount of people who are so afraid to fight, stand up and say, this is not democracy. Democracy is not about divide and conquer. And that's what's happened today on our reservations. Our people, the oppressed, we the oppressed have become our own oppressors. We've learned it so well that we know how to oppress our own people. We fight among ourselves in our own tribal government, our own tribal people. We struggle to maintain our language. Many of our people today don't speak our language. And so a lot of the elders are asking, why? Why aren't our people speaking? Our people today adopt many other cultures, the Hispanic culture, the Black, they adopt all these other ways. And so we have high epidemics of violence on our reservations. We have alcoholism, drugs. And so our struggle continues, not only with what's going on worldwide, all the things that are happening to us through the government. We struggle within our own people also. A quote that John Trudell is one of my heroes. He's not afraid to say what he wants to say. In one of the quotes he says, we live in a land of illusion. We live in a land of an illusion. There is no military power, only military terrorism. And that continues today. A land of illusion that we think this is the way it's supposed to be. In reality, it isn't. And what is reality today? What is the reality of our Lakota people today? To stand up and fight for liberation and to continue to fight. And that's what we do today as Lakota people. We continue to protest, we continue to fight for what's happening to our reservation. Many, many people back home stand up and they travel to DC, they travel to the big house, the White House, to speak on the indigenous struggles that are happening today. Our people today in Pine Ridge, like Jake said, is the poverty of our people. We have families that in a 3-4 bedroom home, we have families, 4 or 5 families living in that one home. There's no homes on our reservation. Our water is being contaminated. And now they're trying to build a pipeline through the reservation that today the indigenous peoples are protesting this tar sand pipeline that they're trying to build because it's good that pipeline, should anything happen, it's going to contaminate our water, the aquifers of the Missouri River. We have high epidemics of cancer. We have high epidemics of diabetes. So to the occupiers here in New York and across the nation,